I think the Honda MkII instills a smile not only on the rider, but of most people who wax nostalgic about Honda's faithful effort to recapture the fun of their original MkII from over 50 years ago. Despite adding things like LED lighting and ABS, the new MkII is now equipped with a 125cc power plant as opposed to the original Z50's 49cc engine, but is a blast to ride. In December of 2020, a biker lawyer friend of mine and I discussed taking our MkIIs out to Colorado and ascending Pikes Peak together. Although that trip didn't end up happening this year, my friend Jerry snapped up a Honda Trail a few months back with the same engine, and we discussed a more local ride up the Blue Ridge Parkway. We planned to ride the first week of November as the leaves were about to be at their peak in the southern Appalachians. Some said we were bananas to attempt such a ride on these tiny bikes. Originally planned for a 2-night adventure, the forecast came to include snow later in the week, so we left a bit earlier for a 1-night, 600-plus mile round-trip effort to one of our favorite locations on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's called the Switzerland Inn in Little Switzerland, North Carolina. Now, Jerry and I have ridden over 100,000 miles together and both enjoy the road and tackling distances on our bikes over the years. However, this will be a new experience as there is limited room for luggage on the MkII, and most of what I brought was carried on my back, utilizing a Nelson Rig waterproof backpack, it's called a Hurricane, for this journey. Would we have the time of our lives or go completely ape? Hey, I carried a fuel bottle, but Jerry's Trail was outfitted with all sorts of extra storage that's not available on the MkII, so he carried the extra fuel, which turned out to be unnecessary, fortunately. Still, glad we had it, as fuel can be difficult to find off of the Blue Ridge. The stated 156 miles per gallon doesn't seem to apply when you're at full throttle climbing in the mountains all day long. It seemed our range was around 110 to 120 miles before we would need gas. Now, the first day presented a cool but comfortable blue sky, which allowed us to soak in the views along the way. Stops at lakes and overlooks, and our limited top speed averaging somewhere in the 40 to 50 miles per hour range, along with the delicious lunch in Highlands, North Carolina, made the 304-mile outbound leg take just about 10 hours. We did arrive before dark, barely, in the motorcycle-oriented lodge called the Diamondback, which is a deal for such a well-appointed hotel. We usually spend nearly as much on dinner there with their outstanding menu as we do on the rooms. After a fun night watching the Braves clinch their first World Series in 26 years, we hit the hay on a high. The next morning, we woke up to a high 30-degree temperature and fog. Despite bringing battery-heated gloves and enough layers topped by a KLIM outfit, the lack of wind protection on the MkII takes its toll on you in this type of weather. The fog made it really difficult to see even 30 or 40 feet ahead for much of the first 2 hours of our ride, and the accumulation of moisture made even inside the pin-locked equipped Neotech 2 visor made it largely useless. We made it back down to Highlands, where I drew the empathy of a few with my shivering while trying to warm up awaiting lunch. From there, the descent into Georgia brought us back to 50-degree temperatures, and the return was uneventful from there. The bikes performed flawlessly. Passing vehicles is something that must usually be done on a downhill due to the limitations of the 9-horsepower engine. Our ride was not a challenge for the bike, more so for the riders, who are used to more electronics, wind protection, and power and speed from our machines. But whatever the MkII lacks in those areas, it more than makes up for in pure enjoyment. I would gladly take another adventure on my MkII in the near future.